Hi, I'm Jen with the Phoenix Theater Company, and I'm here with somebody pretty awesome. Can you please introduce yourself? Because
Yes, well, thank you for that. Yes, my name is Rod Kaats, and I'm a director and directing Murder for Two. I also directed the Lehman trilogy at Phoenix Theater Company, and I was also involved as the associate producer of the musical Ever After.
excellent. Thank you so much. So we're gonna just dive into the questions and make your items. Afternoon. All right. First question is super hard. Tell us about Murder for Two. Can you let us in on the storyline?
Yeah, Murder for Two is a two-hander musical. It's called two-hander is a phrase when you talk about something that has two characters in it. Um, the musical is typically done with two actors who also play the piano. And that the whole sort of gig, or the whole gimmick of the show, in a way, is that those actors are both playing the piano and also trying to play the parts. But of course, there's a limit to what they can do because their hands are, at least one of their hands is glued to the piano at all times. And they had some fun changing places. This production is conceived. Michael Barnard, the producing artistic director, wanted to do it a different way, which is to have a separate piano player. Alan Plato, who is our musical director, is also going to be the pianist in the show. And so the actors will be liberated for that. So we'll get to do a different way of doing it than normal. Yes, there you go.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we did this back when the 2020 lockdown happened. So people are used to seeing that extra, and they saw it outside. So can you let us in on what the world will be seeing indoors? Like, what is the set like? Can you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, like everything in COVID, the show is liberated in a way, right? So in that particular case, I did a lot of outdoor theater as well when I was in COVID. Aren't we glad we're not having to do that anymore? So when it will be indoors, first of all, it will be cooler and more comfortable to be indoors in a dark theater than it would have been to be outside in the summer. That may be the biggest difference in the audience's experience. And also because when you're indoors, you can create a different kind of universe, right? I mean, this plays with all the classic comic murder mystery tropes, including a sort of mysterious mansion and doors that slam and, dead bodies that are lying around and multiple suspects. So because we're indoors, we'll be able to create a more mysterious atmosphere and be more playful with the visuals in the show. When you're outdoors, everything is exposed in the sunlight, and so it's sort of harder to create that artificial mystery. So I think in essence, it will be cooler, more comfortable, and more mysterious and fun.
Can you please describe the main characters? I know you said it's a two-person show, so it should be fun with this.
Yeah, there's two actors that play multiple roles. One of the actors plays Marcus Moskowitz, who is the detective, and he pretty much plays that role throughout the entire evening. He does voice a couple of other characters when he's telling a story, but essentially he's playing that role. And he's the classic gumshoe detective. I mean, for anybody that's old enough to have watched Columbo, he's a little bit like that. He's a little bit, you think he's a little bit dim-witted, but in fact, really, he's on to everybody. But if you don't know Columbo, it's really the character is written as a sort of an homage to every detective in every murder mystery show before. The guy in the trench coat, with a bit of a ruffled shirt who, I don't know, I got to figure out what's going on. So there's that character. And then there's all the suspects in the show. There's 6 or 7 of them. And one actor in sort of tour de force plays all those other characters, several of whom are women. And then we have a lot of fun when we have to have both multiple suspects on stage talking to the detective at the same time, but we only have one actor playing all those things. So, as I said earlier, the fun of the show normally is that in addition to playing all those characters, this actor is also playing the piano. So what we'll get to do in this production, since he's not tied to the piano, is to have a little bit more fun with the theatricality of that, switching from one part to another in sort of rapid fire succession. And we hope is very comic.
That goes into my next question. Because it's that one actor playing multiple roles, how are you gonna make each character instantly recognizable?
That's a great question. I mean, we did this. I directed the Lima trilogy at Phoenix Theater Company too, and there was a similar thing there where the actors played multiple roles, and we were really concerned about the audience not getting confused about who is who. I mean, so the primary way that's going to be done is with voices. I mean, there are several scenes where the characters that he's playing are talking to each other. So, he's going to have to say, this is this character and that is that character. So this is not a brand new thing. There are other theatrical pieces like that where a character, whether an actor has to play multiple parts. So primarily, the voice will do a little bit with costuming and posture. And then I just think we're going to have some fun with the silliness of it all. And what I was really quite surprised at Lima Trilogy is if we're clear about it from the beginning, if we spell it out for the audience, here's the thing, here's the trick. We're going to be in on this trick together, right? This one actor is going to play all these different parts. Once we've explained that to the audience and the audience has heard the different voices, audiences are brilliant, right? They will instantly pick up on that and they'll have some fun. And to the extent that gets the actor tied up in knots, you know what I mean? Like, they've got so many voices. I think the audience will be in on it and having some fun watching the actor have fun jumping over all those obstacles. So I think it's one of those things where even the mistakes will be, they'll be treasured. They'll be fun to watch. And by mistakes, I mean, the difficult moments, we make that fun.
So, like you said, you directed Lehman Trilogy. Let's kind of talk about that. How do you approach directing a piece like this that's kind of more zany as opposed to that was more like a family drama?
I mean, I think with all shows, I think that my approach is to come into the room when I'm working with actors with some basic parameters. It's sort of like, if you think about directing, is a little bit like playing a board game, where you say to somebody, here are the characters, we can think of the board game Clue, right? Mrs. Peacock, Colonel Mustard, Professor Plum. And here are the different places that they go, and here's the basic situation. So I sort of line that up for the actors to give them some parameters about, here's where we need to get in this particular scene, here's the big event that happens. And then sort of like either people playing a board game or, children in a basement sort of playing Cowboys and Indians or whatever game they were playing. And then you let the actors just sort of start to riff and play, and then you start to edit it and you go, oh, that was really fun, let's do more of that, or you discover something. So you sort of build it in the room with the actors. Not all directors work that way. In its purest form, that's called devised theater, where you're really making it up as you go. And actually, even in some devised theater, you're actually writing the play while you're simultaneously, actually staging it. That's not what. In this case, we have a script, we have songs that we're working with. But I really think it gets the most out of an actor when you can encourage them to play and imagine and to be spontaneous. And it really is about like becoming children again. Like, kids are so fun to watch when you see them in a room playing a character or imagining something. And directing a play is not unlike that, creating an environment where that kind of fun and experimentation, improvisation, spontaneity can exist. That's where I think humor comes from.
So what is the biggest challenge do you think will be in directing the show?
As always, the biggest challenge is also the biggest opportunity. It's funny, I was just working with the script this afternoon, and there is a moment when the actor playing all the suspects, this is basically the challenge, everything we've been talking about. How do we pull that off with that one person playing all those different parts? And the way the play is written, the first scenes are primarily with a character, one of the suspects. Her name is Dahlia Whitney, and she's the wife of the man who was murdered. That's not a spoiler alert because he's murdered within the first 5 seconds of the play, so it doesn't give anything away to say that. And you need a murder victim in order to have a murder mystery, right? And then there's a moment, and so she and the detective have the first scene talking to each other, but then there's a moment where she goes, ta-da, and introduces everybody else in the room, and we've been relating to her as Dahlia, and now suddenly that same actor to a quick, rapid-fire succession and play all these other parts. And so it will be really interesting. I don't actually know how we're going to do it. I mean, I want to get in the room with the actor, kind of see what happens spontaneously. There's possibilities where the actor spins. We can do a light change, certainly a change in voice, a change in posture. But inventing how we do that magic trick, is going to be going to have to work out in rehearsal, that little bit of theater magic. And so in order to see how we solve that problem, you'll just have to come see it and tell us whether you think we did.
Exciting. I'm excited.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. So you get two mysteries. So the piano, let's talk about the music. So it kind of feels like another character.
Yes.
So how are you going to stage that in the story? Can you speak a little bit more about the music? Because now we have Alan.
Yes, so Alan Plato is our musical director and will also be on stage playing the piano. So the room that the audience is going to be seeing is a Douglas Clark has done a beautiful set design for this. We're in a kind of theatrical space, but it is definitely meant to evoke the front room and different parts of the mansion in which Arthur Goodlawn and Dahlia lives. And there is a piano in the center of the stage that's on a turntable, so it will spin. So when we want the music director to be present, he can be in the room, and when we don't need him to be, he's not necessarily right there in the center. The music is very sort of vaudevillian music hall. It will be done with an acoustic piano. So if you can imagine yourself going into a turn of the century, vaudeville theater with a red curtain and a guy plays the piano and then tells some jokes, it has that kind of feeling. It's very playful music hall type music, and yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest characteristic of it to talk about. And it'll be fun to have Alan there. And what's interesting about it is strangely, in addition to, there's one other weird conceit in this play. So there's one actor that plays the detective, there's another actor that plays all of the suspects, and then there's an unseen character called Lou, who is the detective's sort of other buddy that works with him in the station. And in the play, Lou is silent. There's nobody there. Everybody talks to the air as if Lou is really there. And so since we're doing this slightly different version of the play where we don't have both of the actors at the piano, I've decided, and I let Alan know, I was like, Alan, guess what? You're Lou. And so even though, in this case, Lou will be visible and it will be Alan at the piano. And I think it's sort of the same kind of wacky, zany, like, wait a minute, how can the guy that's playing the piano be Lou? At the same time, well, how can the guy that's Lou be invisible? So one of the things about this play is that it's so unafraid to be silly and playful. And the fun of doing it in a different way now is we have to find different solutions for that playfulness. So I think it will actually make that slightly easier for the audience to understand, and I think we'll have a lot of fun with Alan, who's like, "What do you mean? I'm Lou? I'm playing the piano. Who am I? What am I doing again?" So that's we're going to get that double hit out of that piano.
That's awesome. So what specifically excites you about the show?
Oh, so many things. I'm so excited to be back at Phoenix Theater Company directing again. It's such a great group of people, and a great team of designers, all of whom are new to me, different than the team that we worked on with Lehman Trilogy. I have a great time collaborating with Michael Barnard, the producing artistic director, who always has really smart things to say and challenging questions, and so it'll be fun to work with him again. And the thing that it's that if you're hearing a theme too, the thing that I'm most excited about is also the thing that I'm the most afraid of, which is like, how do we do it? This thing about this working in this way that I described, where you make it up in the room, I think makes for very lively and very playful snap, crackle, pop kind of theater. But it is nervous making, right? Because you go into the room at the beginning of the day going, I don't know how to do that. Now, could I go into the room and say, turn this way, walk here, say the line that way, this is what you're feeling? I could absolutely dictate every single thing. That in a way might make me feel more secure and make the actors feel more secure, but it's not going to be as good. 3 heads, 4 heads are better than one, and what happens in the room is a little bit like a tennis game. You toss the ball around and different people come up with different ideas. So I'm really excited about that game, that fun. That I'm also really scared, because I don't know what you don't know. You think every time you go in, oh my God, this time will it work? It's worked in the past, but maybe this will be the one time it won't. So there's an element of danger and risk there too.
That's very fun. Yeah, I love rehearsal room. I love backstage too because it's that element of danger.
Yes, right.
The adrenaline. If you had to describe the show in 3 words, what would it be?
And the episode, wow. I would say musical, murder, mystery, comedy.
That's what you're gonna get?
I mean, if I had 4 words, I'd say murder, mystery, comedy, musical. Or maybe just murder, musical, comedy. I don't know. Yeah, any of those good words.
Very fun. Last question before we get into the fun get to know you questions. So what do you hope audiences will take away from the show?
Oh, I hope, we need a break. I mean, the world could be dark. It's hard to read the news. I'm in New York today, and we've got the Canadian wildfires poisoning the environment, and there's just so much going on. And this is really, it's like on a Sunday when you go out for some dinner and you're with your family, and then everybody gets to stop and have an ice cream cone. And that for a little while you forget your troubles. It feels good. It tastes good. You spill it on your hand and all your clothes, and you get that sweet taste in your mouth. And it gives you just a little moment of relief from life's tensions. And I think there's absolutely not only nothing wrong with that, but that's something that is really important for theater to do. And the fun of that, just like eating an ice cream cone with your family or friends, is you get to do that in a room full of people together and have that kind of communal experience. It's really great when you're hearing music and you're laughing and you're in a comfortable room in a chair at a theater company where you have friends, where you've been entertained before. I think it's a really, really special thing to go to the theater, and this is just the ice cream cone version of that. And I think that's really great on a hot summer day.
No, that's great. It's just fun. Just come have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, now we're going to do the fun get to know you questions. So these are fun quickie ones. So first question. What's a small thing that instantly makes your day better?
Iced coffee.
Oh, my God.
I love me some iced coffee. Please, I have my Star Big Ice then. I had the Trenta size, the huge size. A little skim milk in that. I'm really good.
Perfect. If you could have dinner with one character from the show, who would it be?
I think I'd have dinner with the guy that's murdered. He's murdered at the very beginning of the play. You never get to meet him, and he's the author of several really funny murder mystery books. So I think I'd love to have dinner with him. I'd love him to tell me, because then he could tell me, who hated him and why did he get murdered. Although you'll find that out of the play too.
Like, what did you do?
What did you do? What's wrong with you? Why do people hate you so much?
If you could transport any person to see your show, who would it be?
If I could transport any person?
No.
Wow. That's a good question. I think probably I would say, if I'm really going to be magical about it, I would have the guy who was my first mentor in the theater, who's a director named Rod Kaats, who gave me my first professional job. And he has the distinction of being the original director of The Fantastics, which is a musical in this upcoming season as well. So that version of the show that ran 45 years at the Sullivan Street Playhouse in New York was his. And I learned so much from him. And this is a show that he would, I think he would really enjoy, and he would have done a great job directing it. And incidentally, one of my very first jobs in the theater was in the early 1980s when I was, 2 years old, maybe a little older than 2. And Rod Kaats was directing a new musical at what was then called Phoenix Little Theater. And so I had worked in this space all those years ago. Michael Barnard was the production manager there at the time. And so it would be really fun to have Rod. Unfortunately, Rod has passed, but it'd be really fun to bring him back to Phoenix, where we did that wonderful show together, and for him to sort of see what an impact he's had on me as an artist and as a director.
That's awesome. Very cool. And it's What is your favorite song in the show?
Well, the children.
Oh, I don't know yet.
Maybe.
I really don't know yet. I mean, I think it will. They like all the songs in the show, but I think it's going to happen when we stage it and we discover it together. So I don't really have a favorite. It's interesting about theater music, and it's a little bit like a set too. You know, when you look at a set and you say, "Oh, wow, what a cool set," it really shouldn't feel finished. There should all the different things in the theater work together as separate components that build up, make a whole, right? And so I think that's the thing about a song. Theater music is different than other music. Sure, it can be nice to listen to on its own, but you really have to see a musical theater song, in the context of the show, performed by an actor, played by the musicians, and enjoyed by the audience. Then it's sort of like, that's when it turns from a bud into a blooming flower. And so until we pour water and soil, put it in the soil, and put light on it, to extend my metaphor there, we won't know which one works the best. But that's the one that'll be my favorite.
What is one word your younger self would use to describe you today?
Playful.
Yes. And so it's deep.
That's important. I think that's what keeps everybody young. No, I think that's a good thing to have and to hold on to.
So,
What's your comfort movie or TV show you would watch, like you watch when you need to de-stress?
Oh, that's easy. Will and Grace, which is a television show I didn't really like when it first came out. But I watch Will and Grace almost every night now during dinner. It's just in the background. And I think it's so beautifully done. There's a director whose name is Gary Marshall, if I'm getting that right, who directed every single episode, and he was really a master of situation comedy. And it's so well acted. And what's really fun about it too is they did things in that show in the time period that today people would just never say. It's like it's a little bit cringy every now and then, because you go, you can't say that. But of course, at the time they did, and they got away with so much. So I really have a good time, watching that and noticing the difference in culture from now to then. And also the craft of it, the acting and the directing and the design work in it is it's really great comic stuff.
I love Megan Mullally in that one.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Fun.
We're at a picnic in Central Park, and she's drunk as always, and she looks around and goes, "Wait, am I outside?" So fun. There's hundreds of great lines from that character. Think about.
What's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done?
They happen.
Wow, there have been so many. It's interesting. New York City, where I live, has a reputation for being a tough place to live, and I have to tell you, I don't experience it that way. I find that it's things about really interactions when I go to the grocery store or go to the gym. There's so many little miniature acts of kindness. I think I sort of measure kindness in those small gestures rather than a big bold gesture. Certainly, I have been the very lucky recipient of some very kind things. But if I were to think about the things that's had an impact on me, it's the sort of daily kindnesses, holding a door open for each other, saying hello, talking in the elevator. And New Yorkers are really, if we get a bad rap as people that are aggressive, and we're fast, we talk fast and we're straight to the point, but there's also an enormous amount of kindness. We all live really close together, so we have to be kind to each other. I sort of dodged your question there a little bit.
No, it's good. It's a good question. Answered.
Nice, Jess.
What is your dream show that you'd like to direct for it?
Oh, I have a lot of those. One of the ones I've been fantasizing about lately is a wonderful play called A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, another sort of musical murder mystery. I don't think it's ever been done in Phoenix before, at Phoenix Theater Company anyway, and it's a really fun piece, and I love it. But I have a really eclectic taste in theater. I mean, the Demon Trilogy and Murder for Two are wildly different, very, very different. And we'll see if I can do both. I feel like we did a really good job on the Demon Trilogy. People really seem to like it. And so I'm hoping we have the same result here. But I've been in theater my whole life, and I see an enormous amount of theater. I'm on the Tony nominating committee, so I go for it's a 3-year appointment, and I see every single Broadway show. And there's a huge mix of different kinds of shows, and I just love them all. I think from a silly musical comedy like this to a really deep play, to a Greek tragedy, to a Shakespeare, to a conventional musical. That there's kind of no format I don't like. So I'm almost up for any challenge, but certainly Gentleman's Guide has been on my mind recently.
That's awesome.
So put in a word. Let's put in a word.
Gentleman's Guide. Okay, we'll put in ether.
Yes, right.
Like
exactly.
Michael.
Out of the universe.
That's fair, sir.
If you didn't have a career in theater, what would you be doing?
Wow, what would I be doing? It's funny you should say that. There's never, ever been any question in my mind about from the time I was a very little boy that I was going to be in theater. My mom took me to a play, and I reportedly pointed at the stage and said, I want to do that. And it is never, in fact, the only other job I've ever had in my entire life was a brief job as a waiter at a restaurant when I was in college. Every other, and even then I was also a prop master at the same time. So I've never not made a living in the theater. But I think both of my parents were psychotherapists, practicing psychotherapists, and so I might have done that. I was going to say I might have been an actor, but wait, that's being in the theater. I also admire architects. I think that's a really interesting career. But I think I'm glad I do and did have a career in the theater because it's incredibly fulfilling. I just think it's. I was saying to somebody the other day, I'm lucky to be very healthy, and I think part of the reason I'm healthy is because I've seen thousands and thousands of shows in my lifetime, and being in a dark room with other people, listening to a story, empathizing with other characters, I think it nourishes our human soul in a way that nothing else can. It's, yes, music is lovely, concerts are great, ballet and dance, but there's something about live theater and in particular musical theater where people are singing because they're so full of emotion, and you can feel it in your body when they do. And I just think that kind of being in that ecosystem it's just the best. It's such a gift. And I'm so grateful to be part of it and excited every day to wake up and do anything in the theater because I think it's such a special, unique. The storytelling aspect of that is really what makes humans unique. Not to be on my soapbox about it, but I feel very passionately about that, as you can tell.
Great answer. And it's funny you said therapist. Isn't that what a director is, though?
In a way. Way.
So you're kind of that in way.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
And you have a multiple personality on your hands right now.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. My mother certainly, she and I talk about this a lot, about the similarities. I mean, one aspect of directing is dealing with the actors, right? It's not the only, you've got to deal with the physical world and just the logistics of everything, but certainly in terms of dealing with the actors, a good therapist encourages their patient to come to certain realizations themselves, right? To sort of gently nudge them in the direction where they're able to see something that they hadn't. And that's very similar to the way I describe the way I like to work. I like to, like I said at the beginning, you set up some basic parameters, and then I see what do the actors bring to the room. And so, yes, there's definitely similarities between those two things. And that requires, you have to sit on your hands a little bit and let things happen and not make things happen. And that can be, sometimes that's a hard thing to do for all of us that are control freaks.
Totally. Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
Wait.
Oh, I want to be remembered for being a good father, I think. I have 2 wonderful children, and it's, that's going to make me cry. It's more important to me than anything. And in a way, raising children is sort of telling a good story. You tell that story together. And luckily they will be able to, God willing, they long outlive me. And so whatever good things that I have to impart to them will be part of who they are and things they give to the world. So I think that's the lovely thing about being a parent, is there's a sort of automatic built-in pathway to be remembered.
Stupid.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have any last words for people watching this? How's the joke?
No, I would just say if you saw Lehman Trilogy and you liked it, you'll see some of the same techniques here, maybe if not, if it's a very different tone. And I would say, Murder for Two outside, come see it again, because you'll see it done in a very, even though there's some similarities about it, it will be a very different show being indoors with different actors. And yeah, everybody should come to every single show at Phoenix Theater Company. It's such a great place, and it deserves your support, and you're just guaranteed to come out feeling better than you did when you walked in.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed our conversation.